We now have better insight to Laurie and Michael for Halloween Ends. And I was right. Let's go.
Lock your doors, bolt your windows, and turn off the lights. Make sure the kids are safe at home, cause you're headed to the Night Watch Zone.
Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about Halloween Ends and a couple of things that I have talked about for months. This is going to be really, really cool, guys. I said a long time ago, and this was on my channel, also on the Lethal Collective, we talked about what Halloween Ends was going to be like for these characters, especially for Laurie Strode, for Allison, where has Michael been, all these types of things that we've speculated about for a long time. And specifically for Laurie Strode, my feeling was that she was going to try to come to terms with the boogeyman. She was going to try to heal from the events that had taken place, through all these 40 years, and specifically the events of 2018 and Halloween Kills, which includes Karen's death. And my feeling was that she was going to be portrayed closer to how she was in Halloween 78. Obviously, much older and not as naive, but definitely a more positive person. And my feeling had always been that her and Allison were going to have, a switcheroo of sorts. Allison in 2018 was trying to get her grandmother to forget about the boogeyman, put it aside, live your life, enjoy your family, and so forth. And Laurie couldn't do that. And through the events of Kills, I think we saw Allison and Laurie start to switch a little bit, where Allison became very obsessed with Michael and to, take care of him along with the town and so forth. And Laurie started to come to the understanding, especially when Hawkins was talking to her, that it wasn't about her. Michael had no vendetta against her, and so forth and so forth. So anyways, that was something I had talked about months and months and months ago. And we have concrete facts and details that pretty much tell us that that's what it is. And I'm referencing the article from Bloody Disgusting. Let me pull this up for you guys. And this just came out just the other day, 2 days ago. It says Halloween Ends, 3 new images that give us a clear look at Michael Myers 4 years after Kills. And here's our first image, which looks totally fantastic, of Michael. And of course the question is it Michael? And we'll get into that at some point too. But it says Halloween Ends is coming to theaters and Peacock on October 14th. The film taking place 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills and promising the final fight between Michael and Laurie. What were they up to in those 4 lost years, you might be wondering. And then director David Gordon Green explains to Total Film that Laurie Strode has finally found herself in a better place. As for Michael, well, it sounds like we'll never really know where he's been. And David Gordon Green goes on to talk about not giving all the specific details to where Michael has been, leaving that up to mystery and so forth. But here's the part I want to get into as well. Jamie Lee Curtis tells Total Film, on the other hand, by the time you meet Laurie Strode, she has gotten help to process the level of violence that has been perpetrated against her and her family. She's done the work. And there's a moment at the beginning of the movie where you actually meet Laurie. I'm not going to say she's as innocent as she was back when she was a 17-year-old girl, but she has a layer of hope about her. That's a beautiful place to start a really tragic, incredibly violent ending. And man, I mean, this is stuff that I've talked about. This is something that I thought made a lot of sense as far as to give Laurie Strode a very interesting character arc. And also here's a couple of these images of Michael, and then a wonderful shot of Michael and Laurie. And again, is it Michael? Well, we'll talk about those things as time goes on too. I definitely think this image is Michael, and you can see with the mask and so forth, but it's a fantastic image. But again, just to go back to what she was saying, she's gotten the help. She has started to process all the things that had happened to her and her family. And I think it makes a hell of a lot of sense to go this route because, number one, where else can she go after Kills? Now, they could have, portrayed her as possessed and wanting to get revenge and so forth and so forth. But I think that they had already shown that side of her in 2018, and you also saw some elements of that in Kills through her conversations. And I think now you can really show some growth to her character, some healing, and I think it also gives Jamie Lee Curtis a lot to work with, as far as, her dialogue, the way her character arc is, and her interactions with her granddaughter. I think there's going to be some really interesting interactions between her and Allison, and I think it makes sense because Allison is looking at it from the point of view as she's lost her friends, she lost her boyfriend, she lost her father, and she lost her mother to Michael Myers. I mean, she's lost more, in that sense than Laurie Strode has. And I think she's going to be bitter. And I think it's going to give also the opportunity for Andy Matichak to have some fantastic scenes in this movie and some nice, really character moments. One of my favorite moments from 2018 was the dinner sequence where Laurie was just totally just out there and just traumatized with the boogeyman, and then broke down crying, and then Allison, being such a loving granddaughter, and it was a really, really well done scene with all the actors involved, Judy Greer and everyone else involved too. So I think that we can get, some moments like that in Halloween Ends, and I think that would be great. I think that would be, again, these movies are doing some interesting things that you haven't seen through this franchise as much. There've been some examples, and most notably, there's been, some of those moments in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, the relationship with Laurie Strode and Annie, and the breakdown, and Brad Dourif and Annie's death and so forth. Some fantastic dramatic scenes. But I think, with this trilogy, these are arcs that have been carried over 3 movies, and I think that that's really, really interesting. And it's multiple actors that are doing this work, and I think it's very, very interesting. So for me, it makes sense. Months ago, even before we had a trailer, before we had any details, and even before we had those test screenings that a lot of folks have seen, well, not a lot, but an amount of people, which I have not seen. But, I talked about, I think this movie is going to go back to basics. It's going to go back to the vibes of 78. And I think that makes sense. Halloween Kills was Michael's movie. That was Haddonfield's movie. Let's go crazy. Let's go nuts. A lot of kills, just all out, And I think this movie is going to pull back. And David Gordon Green also had said that. As some of the information started coming out, he said this is going to be more intimate, more contained, and that makes sense to me. And it also makes sense to me that Laurie Strode is going to be portrayed as someone who is trying to move on, trying to heal. And it's just cool, man, because, I really, that's what I wanted to see. That's what I thought that I would see, and it looks like that's what we will get to see. And I'm really excited about it. But what do you guys think in the comment section down below? Do you think that this is a good way that Laurie Strode's going to be characterized? Do you think that Allison is going to be a lot more obsessed and paranoid and so forth, versus how she was in Halloween Kills? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also, please like the video. That would help to support the channel, and I'd appreciate it. And if you have not subscribed to the Night Watch Zone, what are you doing? This is the time to do it. And man, we literally have weeks. We're weeks out from Halloween Ends. This is going to be fantastic. I can't wait, and hope to have these conversations and enjoy it with you guys. So anyways, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.